Hey. Weekly wrap-up time. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone around the world. We've got people in the chat. Well, I say people getting started in crypto. Everyone from there in the chat, busy today. Lots of people talking.
It is really busy. So hopefully we've got a lot more people because Melbourne's gone forward, I think, and you guys have gone back, and maybe we're on a better time zone. I don't know.
That makes sense. A lot of lovely chatty people in the chat. We have got plenty to get on with, plenty of altcoins, plenty of questions, and we've got the halving coming up in 2 weeks. So
we've got the halving is so close. So, it's like, I'm going to pull up this Bitcoin chart that I've been talking about for such a long time. So we're looking at about the 19th or 20th for the halving. Now with this chart, I've been telling you guys 85K, and I still think this is possible. So I still believe we're in this fourth wave, and I still believe we're going to hit that 85K by halving. So we've got 2 weeks, and with the amount of tether prints we're getting at the moment means demand is increasing. And it could be that there's a lot of shorts happening at the moment from hedge funds. So that's always a good sign when we've got whales that want to liquidate them. So let's hope that happens and we reach that 85K mark before halving. I don't think that's the end of it. I don't think we're going, we'll have a shorter correction because we're in a third wave. So being a third wave, that just basically means that we're going to correct down quickly, and then likely, this is probably the longest correction we're going to get. Maybe, a month, that sort of thing. And then we're going to be sort of racing into, that post-halving, and we're going to get another increase. So with demand from ETFs and that sort of stuff happening at the moment, it's a little bit unprecedented to kind of know where we're heading with that, whether that's going to keep eating up the supply. So when we have no supply and demand is still there, the price just keeps increasing. So whether that happens and whether they sell at a certain point, a lot of the large mining companies are listed now and owned a lot by, some of those big funds. So they're probably not going to sell as much. With that said, that might be in-house OTC deals, and we don't see any of that. That might be all pre-sold. So that may not ever hit the market. So these are things that we need to sort of assess at this point, going, okay, ETFs are eating up supply. Is there supply of the miners needing to sell at halving to maintain their profitability? Is that going to be going onto the market, or is it going to be going into over-the-counter deals? Well, we see a lot of Bitcoin move from Bitfinex and OTC stuff, and Coinbase and Binance. Most big exchanges have an OTC desk now. So that is likely to be eating up supply because there's such a huge demand there for those OTC Bitcoins. Now, they're usually bought at a premium. There's about 2% premium on those, but that doesn't matter when the price is going up. So, and essentially these are long-term. So OTC deals and buyers are usually ones that are going to put it in cold storage and are long-term buyers. So 2% is not going to worry them. Even if it gets a 10 to 30% dip at this point, that won't worry them. They'll probably just buy a little bit more because these are big buyers. So with that being said, any dip, and I've been saying this for the last, probably month on the weekly wrap up, any dip you should be buying. If you've got some spare funds, be buying it, because at the moment we're seeing a little bit of a bounce in BTC dominance, and that means BTC is increasing, which we've seen today. So we're very much in this fourth wave. So if I can zoom in on this, and we can have a look basically where we are. So this is our fourth wave. So when we break that down to the lower time frame, potentially we look like we've got just an ABC wave. This does look like it is now an impulse. It has broken the previous wave. So we're now looking for this maybe an A, B, a C with another wave. So when we look at that internal, so we could have a wave here. So if we're looking at this being an A, a B, and a C, so this is going to not break this high. So if we don't break the all-time high, potentially we've still got a larger dip. So just be aware of that. And basically the overall pattern for that would be an A, a B, and potentially a C happening down to here. But it does look quite impulsive at the moment, especially with tether prints. So, you know, I would say it's probably safer to bet that, you know, we're looking at that 85K range. It's going to struggle around the all-time high, which is now about 73,600-ish. So there's going to be a lot of sell orders there. So there potentially is going to be a pullback there. Whether that's the largest C wave down to that, you know, sort of 60K mark, that's still potentially on the cards here. It's not outside of the pattern. It's not a huge dip in the overall pattern of everything. But then we still do continue higher. So, and that still does take us up to those higher ranges. So that's kind of what we're looking at. We're still within two patterns on BTC. This second pattern isn't invalidated until we convincingly break that high. And, you know, so if we convincingly break that high, we hit to about 75 on this wave, come back down, and then we're heading up potentially to that 85K mark. So, and that's a strong resistance. So we go back to this 2-week chart, and I'm just going to zoom in here, and we can see that this resistance coming from the previous all-time high goes right back down to the original all-time high. And, you know, that's kind of taking us up to that 100K range on that. When we do a range here in this region and do the immediate range, we've got a resistance right at that 85K mark. So we've got a major resistance at 85K. And then the next one when we head up is about 100 to 110, depending on, you know, how long it takes to get there. So that's kind of what we're looking at for BTC right at this present time. So it's looking pretty good.
It's looking pretty good indeed. And as you were talking, the BTC signal in getting started in crypto hit target 3. So that was very timely. Also, before we jumped on and went live, we were watching Ethereum, weren't we?
We were. So let's jump into Ethereum if I can find that. So Ethereum also has one of these patterns that could be either way. It still does look very corrective, but you know, usually when Ethereum looks ugly, it goes up. So that's just a rule of thumb that I have with Ethereum. The uglier the pattern looks, the more it goes up for some reason. And potentially we could have got a truncated wave here. We are very likely still in a B wave. So this B wave sort of cancels out and becomes an impulse at 39.70. So just keep an eye on that region, because if that breaks through convincingly, this could be an impulse. So if not, and BTC decides it's coming back down, then ETH will likely come back down with it, and it's doing one more wave down to about 3,000 to 2,900. And that's a support region from the bottom of this wave. So that is a likely retest region for Ethereum. It's 2,880. So just be aware of that. Does look quite impulsive at the moment, though.
Okay, very good, exciting stuff. It's totally busy in the chat, and lots of people logging in. Of course, we're on X and YouTube as well as getting us started in crypto, but we are just taking the alt requests from getting started in
we
crypto.
Are, and you know, for anyone that doesn't know, and you probably see me posting on Twitter, we do a magazine every month, and it's called the Moon Mag. So this is the Moon Mag. We are at issue 32 this month. So we've been putting this out for almost 3 years, which is super exciting. You know the magazine by the Moon Mag, it's the Moon Mag. So we break down with no bias. We just give you the facts on what is happening with coins. We break down the teams. We break down, you know, everything about it. And, you know, our writers write articles telling you, you know, what you should be looking for, why you should be buying the coin, that sort of stuff. So it's worth reading. It really is, because this will help you understand how the crypto market works. And that's why we do it. And it's free. It's literally free. Josh and I do this for, you know, everyone out there, and it's free to you guys. So, you know, get reading. And, you know, there's so many magazines. It's literally the only magazine that reads like a magazine. So you go to Cointelegraph, or you go to any of those, and they're not a magazine. This is, oops, we don't want to leave. This is a magazine. So you can see, opening up, we're reading like a magazine, flicks through the pages. Don't forget to buy my book. There we go. Become a Millionaire in a Year. Available on Amazon and all good retailers. There's my ad. But yeah, so get into the Moon Mag and, you know, understand how to trade, understand how whales work, understand how the market works. And, you know, we've got the top 5 crypto launch pads that we think, you know, are working, like Solana and that sort of stuff, with all of the coins coming out and launching. And, you know, we can tell that we're going into a mega huge bull run. And yeah, so get reading the Moon Mag.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the moonmag.com. Go and check that out. Are you ready for alts, Liz?
I am.
All right, we'll take a quick 30-second break, and then we will be back. See you in a bit.
And welcome back. We've got some alts. So yeah, hit me with them, get some requests there, and we will get them happening.
Yeah, I know you've got a couple or a few lined up. So let's work through those. I will keep an eye on the chat. We might be able to squeeze in a couple more. Otherwise, all yours. Let's rock and roll.
Let's have a look. So we've got Coddy. So this is broken down from the triangle, and we can see that it's, you know, potentially struggling a little bit here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some fibs on it and see where we are on this wave. It did have quite a good run. So when we look at it, we've got a long-term support coming down in this region. So this is a 4-hour chart. Our golden zone 618 to the 0.65 is sort of hanging around the 135 region. I do think we've got a wave up happening now. So a lot of the market's going to bounce with some movement from BTC and ETH. But potentially, depending on where we hit resistances on those regions, these alts are going to pull back as well. So I do think Coddy might have one more wave coming back down. So after a wave up, so potentially could go to about 183 here and then have another wave down. And then that's a pretty good sort of wedge looking pattern. So we would have that kind of pattern happening and could get a good breakout there. So, you know, there's a little bit of resistance from this region at the moment. So unless we get a breakout immediately, I do think we're coming back down to that 135. That does meet up with that wedge as well. Next, we had RSR. So a lot of these alts have had really good runs. So at the moment, they're just chilling out. They're completing their fourth wave. So, you know, fourth waves are just such a boring wave. So in Elliott wave, you know, each wave has its own sort of, you know, way of trading. So the fourth wave is always the slowest wave, unfortunately. And that's where we are right now in both BTC and in a lot of alts. So RSR's not outside of that. And it's just completing this fourth wave, just kind of moving sideways. And that's what we're seeing. I do, like I did say about the BTC update, I do think a lot of these have one more wave up before we do get that larger, probably 30% correction. I'm not sure if we're going to, you know, see those massive declines that we did in BTC. I think they're going to come more from the alts. So I think liquidity is going to pull from the alts. It's going to bolster up ETH and BTC, and that's kind of how the market is going to move over the next probably 6 to 8 months. So just be careful. There's going to be some strong movements in alts during that period. That also means that we'll get strong movements upwards. So it's just a matter of, you know, working out where to enter these safely, especially if you're doing leverage and margin trading. That's the exchange's favorite thing to do, is to liquidate people. So because, you know, if they're liquidating people, obviously they're making money from trading fees. So, you know, by hitting stop losses, by making you buy again, by making you buy higher, they're making money on all the fees. So just be aware of that. Yeah, so if we have a look at where we're sitting on this, I've got my fib upside down. If it wants to go on correctly, there we go. So we've had a pullback to the 382. So in a bullish market, the 236 and the 382 are very common, depending on how bullish a coin is. This has pulled back to the 382, can potentially still go to the 0.5. So it's always good on a fourth wave to sort of stack some orders in those regions. So it again will depend on BTC. I think it's going to go a little bit sideways. It does look to have continued support. And if we look to the MACD, we can see that the sell pressure is easing. So potentially we're going to see a wave up. It could also form some type of wedge coming down. So, and that kind of might be what we're seeing. So basically, pattern-wise, that would look like something like that. Maybe an ABC or an ABCDE. So A, B, C with a small DE. So, and that comes back down to that 0.5 region. So that's a likely pattern as well. Being as this C wave is potentially dropping below that 382, it does look like that E wave is a more probable sort of pattern when you're looking at Elliott wave, especially with fourth wave. So I would be having some orders just sitting around. You know, obviously it's going up for this B wave at the moment. If it does break out there, that pattern changes. But B wave goes to about 0.11. Coming back down, that C wave is 8,967. So Yeah, so that's what we're kind of looking at for RSR. Matic. Now, this is a weekly favorite of you guys. So if you've been watching, hit my buy zone perfectly. It's coming up. It's going to have one more wave down. There's not enough waves here. So it's likely to retrace at that 100. If it does break through, the pivot on this region is sitting probably around there. So 97. So that would mean that that changes pattern and this correction is complete and it's likely going up. So, but yeah, so if you watch this every week, this has come back down, hit my buy zone, and currently looking quite nice. SHIB, like this had a 400% rise and it's going to take some time to correct. So I think a lot of these, meme coins are just going to head a little bit sideways. You can see that we've got this is a 6-hour chart. So I'm going to drop it down to an hourly just to see where we're sitting with those MAs and what it's kind of looking. It's still looking quite sort of sideways. We can see that we've got twisting and turning with those MAs, and that usually means that there's a lot of indecision. So people going, oh my God, it's going down, I need to take profits. And then it goes up, oh my God, it's going up, I need to rebuy. And then it's just going to be going sort of sideways as people have a lot of indecision. It's not quite completed this pattern. It may get a bounce like we're seeing across the board, but I do think it's still got a little bit more to go correction-wise. And ETH Fi. So this is a new one. This is one that I do really like. And it's staking for ETH. So basically it just, with a new pattern, I can give very, very limited information because I have very, very limited data, obviously. But if this is a wave 1 in this region, it basically just needs to not cross over 4.5. Holding that region means that this is a potentially impulse bullish chart and it will continue up. So dropping it right back down to a 15-minute because that expands how much data we have. We can kind of get an indication as to where we are. Very, very choppy waves, but providing it breaks 6.69, that's our upper pivot to basically say if this is an impulse. So if this is an impulse, it's going to break 6.69 and continue up.
Okay, cool. Can we squeeze in a few more?
Yeah, we can.
We can? All right. ZRX. We got a few more as well on the email. So let's try and do another 3 or 4 more before we wrap up the wrap up. Here we go.
Okay. So it's nice when you open a chart and it's gone, right off all the targets. So let me bring this up to a daily chart so we can sort of, have a look as to where we're going. It's still loading. It's being super slow. TradingView tends to do that to me when I've got about 5 million tabs all open. So let me take all of that off. Okay, so I'm going to take this up even further because we've got lots of data with this and, kind of understanding where we are in a lot of these patterns is really essential. So we can see that, if you're trading just simply by drawing some lines, which is the most simplest way of trading, we've got a breakout in this region. So we've got MAs, so this is a weekly chart, MAs that have supported this region and have it's been able to break out. We can see that this line coming down at the moment is holding. So we want to really hold and bounce in this region. And that just means that this is a breakout retest. It is really healthy for a chart to get a breakout with a retest. Sometimes they're larger breakouts because people get excited because they've moved sideways for so long. They're like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden it comes back down. It is also a retest of the 200 MA. So on the weekly, which is another really strong sign. So a bounce here may go sideways for a little bit. Don't be alarmed if that happens, because this is completing a fourth wave. We can see that it is holding that pattern at the moment. And so what basically this could look like, with this being our wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, so wave 1, 2, 3, 6. Wave 3 has gone to 618. Perfect. Gone, had a nice retrace testing there, and likely to continue up. So as long as we hold this region, potentially we're going to go to about the 0.9, can go as high as the 1618. But, that would just be by sort of, pushing your stop loss up if it is moving in that sort of direction. But from this region, this is a swing trade. This is a long-term trade. It's a weekly chart. So don't think you're going to enter this trade and all of a sudden it's going to go up, all of that. Stranger things happen in crypto, but the majority of the time on a weekly chart, it takes time. So that's a 245% move. If you're one of these traders like me that, is happy to and patient to wait for 100, 200%, which happens quite a bit in crypto, this is a good trade. So, essentially, if this pattern holds longer term during the bull run, this should go up more than that. So, looking good.
Nice. Okay. Next up is MEV for Violet. MAV, MAV for Violet. We've got someone here in from around 63 cents. So MAV,
I don't even have a chart for that. Let's have a look.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one.
I'm going to have to make a copy.
Let's have a look.
So MAV for Violet.
Correct. Maverick Protocol.
This is live trading.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so wait till this loads, see how much data we have. Doesn't look like huge amounts. It's getting better. Okay, we're just waiting on TradingView to load.
Yeah, now this user is in from 63 cents, so obviously up in profit at the moment.
Yeah, so it looks like we're sitting at 68, quite a sideways pattern. Does have some fair bit of data. Hang on 2 seconds. It's going up through these time frames. So when we zoom out to the 4-hour chart, we have really, really, really limited data. So this is one of the ones that I tell people in the group that, if you believe in these coins, buy that, keep pushing your stop loss up if they're on a centralized exchange, and pray that they continue to go up. So short term, being a 4-hour, it's just had a bullish cross. It will potentially go up. It doesn't look like it has huge amounts of volume or strength coming in. So it's quite high, getting high up on the RSI, quite high on the stock on the 4-hour. So, it does have a resistance at this point. So if we put a line right across here, we can see that, that's quite a strong resistance. So with a resistance, it'll normally get tested 3 or 4 times. On the 4th time, it's either a major rejection or a breakthrough. That's, potentially how it works. Sometimes it does break down after, 1 or 2, but normally there's quite a few sort of retests to that region before it does sort of break down. So I would say that potentially it's coming up. So there's a pivot in this region at 71 that you might want to watch, because this could be still very much correcting. So basically what that would look like is we're coming up an A, a B, and a C. At that point, we just want to be holding that low, which is 46. So, and if this is a B wave, let's have a look at how high that could go. So that's our 1-to-1 for our B. A B wave predominantly goes to about 50%. So we're almost there. The 618, when you flip it, is 72. The next wave up is 76, and a 1-to-1 is obviously double tops. So it doesn't look impulsive to me. Short term, on the lower time frames, yes, you're going to get a move up. I don't think this is going to break the high, though. Stranger things have happened. It's a very, very brand new pattern. So I could be completely wrong. So, but just keep pushing your stop loss up as this trade moves.
Okay, let's do one more from the live chat here. AEVO. I'm not sure how new this is. I feel like maybe it is. Doesn't ring a bell with me, but let's have a look. A, E, V again for Violet, O.
I don't have that one either.
Yeah.
Make a copy. A. So AR.
AE.
AE.
VO. Yeah. Let's see how we're doing there. And then we will probably have to wrap it up there.
So we've had like a bazillion coins drop this year. And it's been crazy. We can see that, yeah, this one dropped 13th of March. So we're not even a month old on this chart. Again, this is a 15-minute. So it's another one of those kind of, like, I have even less data. It looks like it goes, but, realistically, what I can say is, okay, if this is an impulse, it needs to hold that line. So far it is. So potentially this could be a wave 1. We've got an extended 2, and we're, gone into a 3. This is our 4, and going into a 5. So that if this is an impulse, potentially there's our 1. And I'd say maybe it is an impulse, because this is our 236. This second wave has hit the 618. I break down how I do this in my 1,000 to Millions book, which I'll show you. This one. So how I do Fibonacci and how I do wave prediction is broken down in here at the end of the book. So after you learn the mindset and all of that. So with that said, 236, this is now at the 618, potentially 0.5 is corrective, 618 is usually an impulse, 786 is a larger impulse, and then we come back down. So this is having a very extended sideways correction. What happens with a lot of these coins when they drop, all the pre-sale teams and people that got in at seed will sell some of that, recoup their investment, keep the rest. Because if this is listed, which usually it does, say they buy it at 1 cent, it lists at 10 cents. they sell their investment, they recoup that investment, anything else is profit for them. So basically that's why all of these coins dip on entry, and then they work their pattern out. So yeah, this just needs to hold 2.72 or around that region, and potentially it's the next wave up is about 4.87. So from here, again, that may take, a month, it may take a week, it may take a day. There's no sort of time limit, and that's a 60% move. Sometimes they move quickly, sometimes they take forever, sometimes they can extend out sideways for such a long time. Like we can see that, that's a week of sideways. Being as this is a fourth wave, and this second wave was quite extended, it potentially has another, maybe half a week to a week of going sideways. And then it's going to start creating some sort of pattern. So these early coins is just about looking for something that makes sense, adding a stop loss if you can, if it's on a centralized exchange, and praying that other people see what you see in it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Right, let's wrap it up there. If you are getting started in crypto, jump into the live chat, because you can request charts there if we haven't been able to look at them right now. If you're not getting started in crypto, then you really should be. So go ahead and sign up, and you can request your charts.
Especially if you don't have lots of time, we have two bots. We have the Thousands to Millions bot, and we have the Lisabot, which is basically me posting signals, and our other signals person, G6 Signals, posting signals, and the bot auto trades those for you. So yeah, for time poor, time challenge, and you can tweak it and move the stop loss up, or you can add to your trades. There's a few little things, and it's just getting rebuilt at the moment with some new features. So it's going to be super cool.
It is. It's going to be awesome. And I've just seen some chatter in the chat about what is RWA, real world assets. If you go to issue 29 of the Moon Mag, we have an article on that. So go and check that out, and you can read all about it there. Cool. Okay, let's wrap it up there. Thanks for joining, everyone. Have a great week ahead, and we will see you very soon.
Have an epic week ahead, and don't forget, if you're not in the group, hit me up on Twitter, and I try to reply to everyone. It does get hard when there's so many coming at me, but if you do need advice, help with the trade, help with trading, getting started in crypto is the place to be.
See you there. Bye.
Bye.